On May 25, 4 officers of the Minneapolis, Minnesota Police Department were involved in the caught-on-video killing of 46-year-old George Floyd. Floyd, a black man, told the white officer kneeling on his neck that he couldn't breathe. Officer Derek Chauvin continued kneeling despite these pleas and despite Floyd's loss of consciousness. Floyd's death, captured on video and widely spread across social media, set off weeks-long national and global unrest over police brutality and racism. But the protests have also escalated calls for major policing reform in the U.S. While many activists have called for an entire reimagining of U.S. law enforcement, including the defunding, or even the abolition of U.S. police agencies, others who likewise decry the deaths of Black Americans in police custody have urged for more pragmatic, piecemeal reforms to the criminal justice system, such as officer trainings in de-escalation and implicit bias. For example, former Vice President and presumptive Democratic presidential nominee, Joe Biden, has even called for an increase in funding to police departments amid ongoing civil unrest. And House Majority Whip Representative James Clyburn on CNN's State of the Union said, "Nobody is going to defund the police. We can restructure the police forces." The divide on police reform has marked a point of contention between Americans, who largely agree the anger behind ongoing protests against police brutality is justified, but don't support defunding police. One approach reform advocates have called for include the introduction of a national system of standards. On June 5, Representative Mark Pocan, a Wisconsin Democrat and leader of the Congressional Progressive Caucus, put forth legislation to make federal funding for local law enforcement agencies contingent upon their meeting of national standards for training on de-escalation practices, use of force, and bias. A civilian commission would be created to determine such standards, The Hill reported. Law enforcement experts who spoke to Insider said they believed that improvements to and uniformity among the way local U.S. police forces train their officers are not the entire solution, but it could be a step in the right direction. From Los Angeles to New York City to Minneapolis, some of the country's largest police forces have different approaches to their training programs. Los Angeles Police Department officers receive 960 hours of training in the academy, which includes scenario-based training, a spokesperson for the department told Insider. The LAPD Academy training has included specific training on de-escalation techniques since 2017, the spokesperson said. Officers are also given 4 hours of implicit bias training, though the LAPD spokesperson said, implicit bias training is also integrated into the 16 LAPD basic training modules.